Hello. Hello. My name is Steven. I need a clicker. Where do I go for the clicker? Guido?
Next to the computer.
How do I... This? Cool. I'm going to talk a little bit about roadmaps today. I'm Irish. I speak very fast, so I'm going to try and speak slower. If you can't understand me or can't hear me, just put up your hand and tell me, or just shout or heckle. That would help me. I'm also going to talk a little bit about ProductTank at the start, because I work for ProductTank as well. And we're at ProductTank. So this is me. I'm Stephen Culligan. I'm a manager. I'm a manager of product management at Pivotal Labs. I used to work for a big consultancy, Accenture. I've also worked in many fintech startups as well. I've been a product manager for about 8 years, and I love building great teams to build great products. And that's my day job with Pivotal Labs. I'm also the Americas coordinator for ProductTank. So there are now about 60 ProductTanks North and South America. And I help to coordinate them and just help and support. This is also me. I love spicy food. I love eating a lot. So I'm in town for the next few days. If you have food recommendations, let me know. I want to hear them. I want to eat them. I've had a lot of empanadas over the last few days, and they're muy bueno. So quickly, what is Mind the Product? Has anyone heard of Mind the Product? Okay, a few people. So ProductTank is a part of Mind the Product. Mind the Product started, I think, 8 years ago. It was Martin Eriksson, who's the co-founder. He started a meetup in London. About 10 people came to a pub and sat down and talked about product management. And from there, ProductTank began and Mind the Product began. Mind the Product now has 3 conferences: London, San Francisco, Singapore, and also has some smaller conferences as well, like Manchester and Hamburg. And also a Mind the Product blog that I'd suggest that you read. It's helped me a lot in my career, lots of good writing and teachings. We also do training and a few other things, so you should check it out. What is ProductTank? You are ProductTank, right? It's a free meetup by PMs for PMs. So anyone who's interested in product should attend our local ProductTank. They happen in over 160 cities worldwide. And if you ever go on your travels, look up the ProductTank. Try to go to an event. It's a great way to meet product people all over the world. And that's ProductTank and Mind the Product. So let's talk about roadmaps. I don't think that roadmaps matter that much. I think they are sometimes a waste of time. And I'm going to sort of talk about traditional roadmaps, so the roadmaps that I used to put together a few years ago. I'm also going to talk about what I believe are better roadmaps, so a way to do roadmaps better. But then I'm also going to talk about the bigger picture and why they're not so important. So this is a traditional roadmap. Has anyone seen or put together a roadmap like this before? Yeah, lots of hands. What is like the defining characteristic? What's important about this? Does anyone know? Timelines, yes, really important. So usually you'll see dates, you'll see milestones, you'll see swim lanes, and one thing will finish and the next thing will start, right? This is usually a lie, right? This never works out. For example, I was in a big consultancy. I was creating digital TV, so television, and it was a 2-year project. And in the first couple of weeks, we put together something like this. And we were really happy. We were going to hit all these dates and all of these milestones, and everything was going to go great. 1 week later, it was completely wrong, right? So it was no longer the truth. It was a lie. Why is that? I don't think when we put it together that we thought that we were lying, right? We weren't trying to scam or mislead people. What really happened was that we were really optimistic. And humans are optimistic in general, right? But we could not make this work. What else do I want to say? This roadmap that we put together, it wasn't a failure of the project, however. The project failed for a different reason, right? So we were creating digital TV. We had 2 years to create it. And we spent a lot of time creating that digital TV. So we were about a year and a half in, right? So this is time on the x-axis and risk on the y-axis. Has anyone seen this before? Yeah, okay. So as you go over in time, you build up your risk, right? You don't release your product, more risk builds up. Will users use it? Will they want it? Are we going to be successful? In the project where we were creating digital TV, we went time, right? And a year and a half in, Netflix launched. So our product was completely unsuccessful overnight. Our strategy was completely wrong. Netflix took all of our customers, the millions that we had spent, down the drain, right? Kaboom. But not because of our roadmap, right? It was the strategy. The strategy was wrong. Our competitors beat us. Another time, so this is me 4 years ago. This is me working for a startup. And this time we had agile roadmaps, right? So we were gonna get things done quickly. We were gonna beat the time. We were gonna beat our competitors. So the startup I was in was funded. And I was hired with a bunch of engineers and designers to build a list of features. And the features were gonna be definitely successful. The founder said, here's the sheet of paper, build all of this, we will be successful. And I said, no problem, we'll build it all. And we started building, and we released, and we went to production every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. It felt really good. We celebrated, we drank a lot of beer, it was a startup, we had a lot of stickies, right? It was going really well. However, a couple of months in, I started to check, are the features successful? Are users using them? Are we retaining more customers? Are we getting more money? Are we getting more users? And the answer was no. It sucked. And that roadmap sucked because the roadmap was just our stakeholders going, here you go, build this. And it was wrong. So that roadmap sucked as well. So I was really upset. Why was I upset? For these reasons, right? It assumes we can predict the future. So those stakeholders were saying, hey, build these things and we will be successful. But they were wrong, right? It assumed that those executives are experts on what the users need, but they weren't. They were just guessing, right? And we weren't validating what they wanted to do, which is what I should have been doing. They made commitments on behalf of the team. So we were given a date and told to hit that date. Has anyone been given a date before? Nobody, okay, you're all great. You're all doing great. But we're always given dates and told, here, make this date. Right? But that's not our job, right? Our job is to build great software, not always to hit a great date. And lastly, something that I'm very guilty of is celebrating shipping over impact. So whenever we release something, hooray, but did it work? Was it successful? Did we get more customers? Did we make more money? And that's not always something that we check. So these roadmaps that I was building, they didn't help us to understand why we were building the product. And I think that's where we need to start focusing on as product managers. So in order to understand why, we need to think about outcome versus output. And I think these are very typical words for product managers in the last year or two. The output, which we were focused on before, is just the amount of something produced. It's just a thing that we built, but it doesn't actually say what the outcome was, the way a thing turns out, a consequence. Right? What were we striving for? More users, more growth, retention, revenue, whatever it is, that's the consequence. That's why we build what we build. And these roadmaps weren't telling us that. So better roadmaps. What are some of the things that I've been doing to create better roadmaps? Here we start small. We have a problem, the opportunity that this business has, and the hypothesis, the thing that we can validate or invalidate to say, yes, we are achieving the right thing, or we're not achieving the right thing. This roadmap has no features, no output, just a hypothesis that we're trying to validate or invalidate. And it's really, really small. It's just a few cards. So always start small. As you build your roadmap, you should think about short iterations. So each of these is 1 day to 5 days to do these things. So each one here is like 1 to 5 days, 1 to 5 days, 1 to 5 days. And you're always gathering new information. You're always releasing new things and trying to figure out, is this working? Is this not working? Are we achieving our outcome? So it's iterative. And lastly, the last thing that makes a great roadmap is the persona. So the person that we're building this product for. Always keep them front and center of what you're thinking about. Always be validating with that user, are we building the right thing? So that person should always be on your roadmap. In other words, what I'm saying is start small and don't plan too far ahead. So be agile, but that's not enough, right? You have to deliver value iteratively, so you have to be lean. Define the outcome. So say up front, we're trying to get 100 more users, and then check, did we get 100 more users? If so, great, keep doing it. If not, change your way of doing it. And always include the human that we're building the product for. So user-centered design or design thinking, but make sure that user is on your roadmap. Who are we building this for? So these are the principles that I use when I'm building roadmaps. And it helps us to understand why we're building what we're building. So you know some of the principles of creating better roadmaps, but in order to create these roadmaps, we need to understand the bigger picture. And the bigger picture for me starts with the vision. And the vision is why you're doing what you're doing. What is the big thing that the company is trying to achieve? And it usually takes decades to get here. So it's a long time. Bill Gates, who knows Bill Gates? The head of Microsoft, right? So he said in 1980, a computer in every home. 5 years ago, Microsoft changed their vision because they did this. They actually achieved this, but it took like 30 years to get there, right? So your vision should be something like very far in the future, some aspirational thing that may not be achievable, but you should try to do it. And that's what Bill Gates did. It's very successful. It's very hard to go from today to your vision, right? It takes a long time. So you can't just go straight there. You have to navigate a few things. So things like your customers, your competitors, your current product. Do we need a new product or do we need to change our existing product? Do we need a new user base or the existing user base? Who are our people in our company today? Do we need to train them? Do we need to upskill them? All of these things that you have to find a way through. This is your strategy. These are things that you think about in a few years, right? How do we spend the next few years in order to achieve our long-term vision? And that's your strategy. And in order to achieve your strategy, you need a roadmap, right? So these are the things that take a couple weeks or a couple months in order to achieve your strategy. And in order to achieve your roadmap, you need a backlog. And I think as product managers, we're very comfortable at operating at the backlog level, right? User stories, requirements, working with our engineers and designers to figure out what the daily tasks that we need to make are in order to achieve what's on our roadmap. So this is the bigger picture of where roadmaps fit into what we do as product managers and what our company does. But I believe that roadmaps don't matter that much. And the reason I believe this is because where the outcome is actually defined is usually at the vision and the strategy level. If you have a good vision and a good strategy, then you just need to execute really, really well. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't work in companies that always have good vision and good strategy, right? So we as product managers need to try and find ways to spend more of our time at the vision and strategy level, to have a greater impact on the products that we're creating, to have a greater outcome for the products that we're creating. But unfortunately, we spend a lot of our time here at the roadmap and backlog level. And I've spent a lot of time thinking in my career, how do I make sure that this is correct and not just spend time on busy work here, right? And it's been really hard for me to figure that out. So as I was thinking and thinking and thinking, I came across a tweet recently by Melissa Parry, who was a product manager. And she kind of reminded me what I can do in order to have a better impact. So she talked about the different levels of being a PM. And you start at the associate PM level, and you make your way all the way to the chief product officer. So I've been trying to increase my strategic influence, so the yellow here, to better have an impact at this level, right? So the more you can impact this level, the more successful your products will be. And the more that you climb the ladder, the more that you can have a strategic impact. So that's my challenge to you, is to find a way to move up in your companies, to work with your executives, to change your title, to change your role, to be more strategic in what you're doing. And that's how I'm going to have more of an impact and more of an outcome on the products that I build. And that's it. That's why I think roadmaps don't matter that much, and where I think you should be spending your time as product managers. I have some resources here. Brandon Chu from Shopify talked about leverage as a PM, the vision to backlog level. Roman Pichler talked about outcome roadmaps a lot, so you should look him up. And then Product Roadmaps Relaunched and Product Leadership are books written by Mind the Product associates, so you should check them out. They're very, very interesting. And I've spent a lot of my career reading these things and helping to form a lot of my opinions. And that's it. Thank you.